I woke up to a miracle today. Triggers stay as I find my way. No judgment to lead astray. In this peaceful
All right, welcome back. We are jumping into lesson 48.
Oh, 48.
48 of A Course in Miracles, and wow, it feels
It does feel.
it does feel significant, right? It feels like
Yeah.
a shift. And we were talking so much about the ego and separation and illusions,
Right.
and it's like all of that's culminating,
Coming to a head.
coming to a head into this idea of fear.
Right, exactly.
So lesson 48 is titled "There is Nothing to Fear,"
Oh,
which is
a big statement.
it's a big statement. I mean, look around. How can that be true?
Oh, let's find out.
Exactly. Let's find out. So why don't I go ahead and read lesson 48?
Okay.
And we can kind of break it down from there. So it reads, "There is nothing to fear. The idea for today simply states a fact. It is not a fact to those who believe in illusions, but illusions are not facts. In truth, there is nothing to fear. It is very easy to recognize this, but it is very difficult to recognize it for those who want illusions to be true." So it says it's a fact, but then it also says it's not a fact.
Right. To
Those who believe.
Those who believe. Choose to believe in illusions.
Right. What do you think about that? What do you think about that inherent tension there?
Well, it's interesting because I think what we're really talking about here is that we're talking about, like, I think what makes this so challenging for people is that we cling, right, to illusions, even if those illusions,
Even when they're hurting us.
they cause us pain. And it's almost as if we choose to believe in those illusions
We choose to believe in them.
over truth, over facts. And that's because I think that those illusions become our perceived reality. And the very thought of stepping outside of that, releasing those illusions,
And stepping into the unknown.
stepping into the unknown, that in itself can trigger a primal fear in us.
Absolutely. And that's what the Course talks about. It says that, fear arises
Yeah.
when we place all of our trust in our own strength, our own limited strength.
Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, what's that connection there?
Well, I think what the Course is trying to say is that when we rely solely on our own ego's perception of strength, right? We're limiting ourselves because there's only so much we can actually handle on our own. So when situations, when we find ourselves in situations that are beyond our control, situations that feel overwhelming, that's when the fear, that's when doubt and worry,
Right.
those things really start to grip us. We start to anticipate all the worst things that could possibly happen.
Right.
And I
When we
think-
think we're in control and then we realize we're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're not equipped to handle it all.
Right. So if self-reliance breeds fear, where do we go? What's the alternative? And the
Yeah.
Course says, remember God.
Right.
Remember his strength.
A higher power.
Right, a higher power. So how does that shift? How does that shift of relying on ourselves to relying on something bigger than ourselves, how does that help with fear?
I think it's really about recognizing that there's a power that's beyond ourselves that transcends our limitations, our perceived limitations.
Yeah.
And when we can remember that we are not alone, right? That we are actually connected to the source of love and strength that is
Right, infinitely more powerful.
more powerful than our little selves.
In our small selves, fear loses it's almost like you can imagine, like if you are feeling alone, you're feeling afraid, but then you suddenly remember, like, oh, wait, there's this massive
Your head.
force of good, this massive force of love that is always there supporting me.
Yeah. It's like that ultimate safety net.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate safety net.
Right.
So knowing that you are supported, that you are guided, that you are protected, that eliminates the basis of fear.
Right. So Kersey actually gives us a suggestion, an action step, which is to repeat the phrase, "there is nothing to fear." And to do that throughout the day, but particularly when you are feeling anxious, when you are feeling that fear. What are some practical examples of how to use that?
Well, okay, let's say you're online. You're scrolling through the comments.
Oh, big trigger there. Yeah, and you find yourself reading
Yeah.
a particularly harsh comment. Maybe someone is really criticizing you or just being unkind. And you feel that anxiety, that anger rising up. Instead of reacting,
I'm getting defensive.
instead of getting defensive, you can just pause and gently repeat to yourself, "there is nothing to fear."
Yeah.
Or let's say you're at work, you have to give a big presentation and you're feeling nervous.
Oh, yeah.
All those eyes on you. Again, you can use that phrase.
Or at school. taking a test.
Taking a test, exactly.
One big one.
And it can just be that touchstone, reminding you that you're not alone, that there's a strength within you, and that strength is connected to something much larger.
So it sounds like we're talking about a shift in perspective. We're shifting from fear-based thinking to a faith-based approach.
Yeah.
We're shifting from relying on our own tiny little selves
to trusting in a higher power.
Yeah. So how quickly can that shift happen?
You know, that's what's so amazing is that this shift can happen like that.
It can be instantaneous.
Instantaneous. Like the very moment you choose to release fear and embrace the truth that you are loved, you're supported, and you're connected to a power beyond yourself, the illusion of fear will start to dissolve.
It makes you think. If fear is an illusion, what other illusions might we be holding on to that are keeping us from truly experiencing peace and joy?
Right. What might be possible if we could just gently let those go?
Something to think about.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us as always.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
I